Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be with you. I'm Imam Muhammad Musri, and we are studying few verses from the Quran each night based on what we listen to and what we read every day in Ramadan. It is difficult to cover all the verses that are read all in one night. That might be hundreds of verses. So we just cover and select few verses and few topics that are very important, and we touch on a little bit in more depth. And today in the ninth juz, or the ninth part of the Quran, which covers Surah Al-A'raf, the chapter about Al-A'raf. And in this chapter, which begins by discussing the fact that God revealed the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, كتاب أنزل إليك فلا يكن في صدرك حرج منه, a book that has been revealed to you, so let there be no difficulty in your chest in proclaiming and sharing this message, because it is a warning and it is a reminder for the believers. In this chapter, this Surah Al-A'raf, once again, like in Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter, we see the epic story of the creation of Adam and Hawa alayhim as-salam, Adam and Eve, and that the shaitan, Iblis, Satan, was ordered to bow down to Adam, to prostrate himself along with the angels, and he refused. So in verse 11 we are told about the beginning of this story, where God said, we have created you and fashioned you, and then said to the angels to bow to Adam, and they did except Iblis, or Satan. He wasn't among those who prostrated themselves. And that discussion that happens between God and Satan, where he asks him, why didn't you prostrate yourself when I ordered you? He says, I'm better than him. The attitude that Satan had, that he was a much better creature than Adam was, and therefore he wouldn't prostrate himself. And he refused a direct command from God, from Allah. And therefore he was cast out of the mercy of Allah and out of heaven. And he requested afterwards that he would be given time till the day of judgment, and that he will make an effort to deter believers from doing good deeds. So this story is repeated to us because Satan indeed, again and again, is reported to always wants to mislead human beings, as he himself knows he is a loser. And this story comes to us as a reminder that who is our real enemy? It's not other human beings, but the devil. At the end of this story, in verse 22 and 23, we find that the statement from God, he told Adam and Eve, didn't I tell you that Satan, the devil, is your enemy? He's clearly your enemy. You shouldn't be listening to him. Now, during the month of Ramadan, we learned that the real enemy is Satan, and we have to watch out for his many tricks and many ideas and suggestions. He has no power over us, but he often suggests terrible ideas for us that would mislead us. He would decorate for us those ideas to make them look good, but in fact they are bad for us. So we have to learn while we're fasting to watch out for that, and that is important. So in the same surah, we, towards the end of this long chapter, And in verse 196, we see that Allah speaks about the very beginning when He created Adam and Eve. And before the human race was brought to the world, God took from Adam himself all of his offspring, all those seeds, and He took all of these people that existed in the world in the other dimension as the people before they occupied these temporary bodies, and He spoke to them and asked them, am I not your Lord? And they said, indeed. So in verse 172 we find وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى شَهِدْنَا أَنْ تَقُولُوا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّا كُنَّا عَنْ هَذَا غَافِلِينَ. So that on the day of judgment, you cannot come and say, oh, we weren't aware of this, we didn't know. In fact, every human being has been programmed with this instinct to understand and to believe that God is one and there is a God, and you have to search for God and worship God. Yet most human beings try to ignore that, or they try to invent other animate objects as God and worship false gods beside the true God. So that is the important message in this chapter. This chapter also covers the story of Moses and Pharaoh and their struggle, and then how it ended with the victory that God gave to Moses over Pharaoh, and how Pharaoh and his armies drowned, and also tells us the stories of Bani Israel with their prophet Musa after they passed out of Egypt. These, among other stories of other great prophets, are mentioned in this very long chapter that is fascinating, very interesting, and has many, many, many lessons for us to learn from. In this chapter, we are commanded to reflect and think about God's creation. He says in 185, أَوَلَمْ يَنْظُرُوا فِي مَلَكُوتِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Why don't they look at what Allah has created in the heavens and the earth and everything, all the creation around them? This is important for us to encourages us to research, to study, to pursue scientific research about the universe, the galaxies, the stars around us, the solar system, and right here on earth, all this creation around us, in the oceans, in the different parts of the world. God gave us the brain, expects from us to use it, expects from us to do plenty of research. And this research, one of its benefits, it will lead us back to God. It will lead us to the proof that there is a God who created all of this and put this universe and this world in order and made it all interdependent. So early Muslims really were fascinated by this. They had a mandate from Allah, from God, to go out and to search in the world around them. So they developed the sciences of astronomy, mathematics, physics, chemistry, medicine, and on and on and on. And they reached great heights in the golden age of Islam, where science really took many big steps forward and superstition and all the ancient ways of looking at the world were put behind us, and humanity became really very interested in the pursuit of science. And that's why it's important for Muslims to renew their commitment to scientific research and understanding in order to fulfill this mandate that God gave them. We will see you tomorrow, inshallah. Thank you for watching. Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum.